Hello everyone and welcome to another episode from the Paperhats Survival Multiplayer server. My name is Glitch. Well, it's been a bit, but part of that is because I have been busy at work here in the land of Silvindale farming resources for today's project. And let me tell you, it's gonna be a big one. You see, like I said in the last episode, this season I want to try my first attempt at a mega base. And while a lot of people have decided to dig deep in 1.18, I've got a different direction I want to go in. Now, before we get to that, I do want to give you a quick update about what I've been doing around the base, and then we'll look at where we're headed. You see, one of the things that I wanted to do with this kind of fortress area was to have a staging area for a lot of the farms and stuff that I needed early on. One of the other important things that I thought about was originally when 1.18 was still in snapshots, I saw a screenshot of this cove that just really gave me a kind of a vision and a direction of what I wanted to do in this season. Unfortunately, searching this world seed, I never found anything quite like that, except for this kind of bluff area over here. But one problem there is the fact that that is, well, it's over a river. So what I decided to do was to basically kind of co-opt this island and make this the ground level part of my base. And along the way, I've been farming a lot of wood, both in oak, birch. I have some dark oak, been doing some jungle. Also, as I said last time, I went back to spawn and brought Phantom home, which is really cool. I've never had a skeleton horse, and though I don't know that I'll be riding him a ton, it is really cool to have him, and I might just use him for nether transport for things like our mining desert is really, really far away. So it might be cool just to use Phantom to get over there, just take him through on the nether side. The other thing that I worked on doing was to start working to set up our wool shop over here. Now, this isn't the final location for it, but this has at least allowed me to continue to farm some of the wool that we need for future builds. Kind of last up, as you just heard, I did some exploring. And while I was out, I found a few friends. For one, I found a new canine. So, canine, it is good to have you back, boy. Who's a good dog? Who's a good dog? That's right, you are. But the other thing was, I went into another village, and as soon as I saw her, she had to come home, and the record stands that in every Minecraft world, I still have a Patches. So Patches, we're glad you're here too. Beyond that, I have just been working on farming up some dripstone. After our end raid, I went ahead and brought back enough end stone that I could start farming chorus fruit, because though I'll have to probably buy my end rods from someone who has, not end rods, blaze rods from someone who has a farm going, I can use those to then make end rods. And I also went ahead and set up a little potion area so that we have that as kind of self-sufficiency. And in case of a zombie villager coming by, I have all the materials to quick cure them. And beyond that, I've just done a lot of mining for the diamonds I need, set up a cow crusher in this little tower here, and just worked on getting the basic farms that I need to kind of keep things going. I still need to do a hostile mob farm, but that's going to come in the next few episodes. I've got an idea where we're going to go with that. But for now, that's what I'm doing on the ground, and I still have a little room here and there for expansion. But as I said, while many people decided to dig deep, I want to go a different direction this season. And what I really want to do is to aim for the sky. Okay, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, 188. So right now we are we are just a little bit over 128 blocks from the top of the tower there, and definitely 128 blocks from the bottom of, the ground level. Now, one of the reasons that I wanted to come up here is at 128 blocks in Java Edition, all hostile mobs automatically despawn. That means if I'm building up here, nothing will be spawning down on the island. Those hills will be a little higher, but if I light those up, nothing in the spherical range of the despawn sphere will have mobs in it, which will make it a very interesting thing to do things like mob farms. One of the other interesting factors that came in with 1.18 is the fact that right now, as of this version, the build limit was increased by 64 blocks. So instead of stopping at 256, it stops at 320, or y equals 320. Meaning, from this spot right here, at y equals 188, I still have 132 blocks left that I can build and play with and just experiment with to try and build in this new world. So, what my crazy vision is to start working on a flotilla of airships to bring a little life to the skies of the land of Silvindale. Now, to start things off, I do need a place to land, so I'm going to go ahead and off camera get a basic platform set up and see where we go from there. So I will be right back. And we're back, and I am actually really glad that I tried to tackle this project off camera because, well, a couple of things happened during it. For one, it turned out to be a much bigger project than I originally anticipated. In fact, it was so big that I actually had to scrap the whole thing and basically start over almost from scratch just because, well, to be honest, this is a bigger project than I've ever done, and it just kept going and kept getting bigger. And I'm glad I didn't do it as a time lapse, or else, well, I think this whole episode would be just that, a 20-minute time lapse. But that being said, I think that I've got something that will form the central hub to our new megabase. And as you can see behind us, this is not a visual issue or visual glitch. This is, well, the shadow. I'm not going to look up just yet because I want to kind of show you guys what we're going to do here in a second. But I'm glad I also made all of this non-spawnable because everything up here is a bottom half slab, which means that basically nothing here will spawn, and down here is lit up well enough. But as you can see, it turned out to be really big. But that being said, now that that's kind of out of the way, I'd like to introduce you guys to the start of our mega base. So let's take to the skies. And let me introduce you to Platform 88. And of course I crash on the landing. Now, this is not going to be where we actually live, because this is going to, in essence, be the central hub area for the base. These polished blackstone blocks right here are actually placeholders because I'm not quite ready to move the portal and basically move it to up here so that we're able to access the nether hub from up here. Now, right now, the hold is pretty much empty space, and it's eventually going to probably wind up being where our primary storage is. And we also have these little extra rooms, which I'm still working on ideas for, but there's one in each one of the cardinal directions of, north, south, west, and east. But that will form basically a nice place to put some storage. And I do have to say, I do have one challenge that I did not realize. You see, this section over here is pretty much over the island and over the mountain. This section over here, however, is showing up as a cold biome. In fact, F3. Right now we are in the Stony Shore. But oddly enough, as you can see, when it rains over here, we get snow. So one of the challenges I didn't expect was that we are going to have to figure out how to not only mob-proof all this, but also snow-proof all of this. Now, one thing I can do there is I can use lighting to basically kind of keep things bright, but it looks like we're going to have kind of some extra lights here and there, but I don't want to have like just random torch spam. Although I do have an idea, because one of the other things I want to avoid was getting struck by lightning up here, because we're kind of closer to the actual clouds. So I made this little balloon type item over here to basically serve as a solid block under that so that a lightning rod can conduct electricity. So instead of putting them up on our actual balloons, and I'm planning to add more of our balloons as time goes on, I wonder, just as a thought experiment, I need a little dirt. Hang on. Okay. One there. One there. And one more there. Now break that out and put a chain in there and hang a lantern on that. Okay, so that gives us a little extra ambient light. I'm not entirely certain that will be enough, but what I'm thinking of doing is that basically I'll just play around with the different, with it. I can raise it or lower it. Probably will wind up getting it lowered a little bit, but I can basically play around with it next time it rains and just see what happens and if we get some more snow in this area. Because throughout the build, throughout Platform 88, that is the only place thus far that I have encountered snow staying, now that I've gotten all the lanterns in place and things like that. Now, that being said, while Platform 88 is going to be the central hub for our mega base and be where people land, because I will eventually move the wool shop over here and the banner shop, and I've got one or two other ideas for another shop or two. This, realistically speaking, is not the greatest place for me to live. I mean, with night coming on, I have no problem coming down here to the hold and grabbing some sleep as soon as it will let me. And grabbing some sleep. Every Minecrafter's biggest annoyance. Just let me sleep. Thank you. But while the hold is a good place for storage and things like that, it's not the greatest place in the world for me to live. So with our first gantry built over here, I am going to go. I have got the first design that I want to do to build my permanent home. So I'm going to go ahead and get the time lapse on for that. And while I do that, please enjoy a little music from the YouTube audio library. Let's get started. Welcome back, and I hope you enjoyed the time lapse. And I just have to say that this project has been one that has been waiting for a long time to reveal. Now, partially that is because when 1.18 was announced, and I started seeing screenshots from around different worlds, I had like I said, this dream of a flotilla of airships come into my mind, and I just couldn't shake it. And in truth, this design behind me was the first thing that I really came up with. And I never tried anything like this before. And it was just so much fun to just bring this from an idea to a creative plot to, well, what floats before us. Now, that being said, I do have one last modification I want to make to the ship, and that is I was thinking about it, and I realized as I was going along that I still have a couple of dragon heads kicking around in a chest, and I thought it would actually be kind of cool. See if I can do this without falling off. And pop that down there. So, just for fun, I think we are going to add in one last extra, and that is to add a dragon head. And then, let's go ahead and get rid of our scaffolding blocks. I will clean that up later. Perfect. I love it. All right. And then, last but not least, in classic tradition, I want to christen you the Genysis. All right. So now, this is going to serve as my permanent home for the remainder of the season. So while we build other things around Platform 88, the Genysis is going to be my permanent base and permanent home. So let me give you a quick tour of the ship itself. Now, to start things off, we do have a little kind of crew quarters down here. This is probably going to wind up being just a little extra storage. And also, if I just need a quick place to run in and get some sleep while I'm working on other projects, I also decided to add in some barrels down here to the cargo hold, so that I can basically store some materials as we're working on other projects. And then I decided, originally I thought about, just spawn proofing the inside of the balloon so that it was basically didn't become an unintentional mob farm. But then I thought, you know what? Instead of just living in this tiny little room down here, what if we use this space for something else? So I went ahead and built a bit of a nicer little apartment up here. And I added in a lot of the basic items that we need. For one, I added in an enchanting setup and a brewing setup. I still need to move a good bit of stuff up from down in the fort, which, by the way, I've come to the conclusion that I want to name that Grimstone Fort, or Fort Grimstone. Partially because of the fact that originally, when the Deep Slate was announced, Mojang had kind of trended towards the idea of calling it Grimstone, and I kind of like the idea, so I decided, why not keep that idea alive? But also, so we have some basic storage, decided to add some armor, and I still need to craft up a little bit of gold armor just to, have a few of the examples around. And also, as I did last season, I decided to add in my own little desk so that I can enjoy just keeping my thoughts down here here on the Genysis. And I don't know, I've kind of toyed with the idea of just doing a simple episode log as we go along. And then finally, up here, we've got a simple bedroom with some spare diamond armor and some more storage for the things that I pick up along the way. And then up here, we also still have a little, again, more decorative than anything else, but just basically some nice, something to make the deck look a little bit more lived in, a little bit less like just an empty space. But that is the Genesis, and I am looking forward to so many other projects throughout the season. But as the name suggests, it all starts here. And one other thing I do want to take care of while we're still in this episode, now that we've got a permanent home in place, I do have one other task that I have been kind of working on in the background. And, well, it has to do with a certain gift we received now 2 episodes ago. So, just to kind of recap, back in episode 2, Dan the Noodle Man gifted us our first Elytra. And when he did that, he gave me a book entitled The Book of Deeds. And the idea was to take the book, if you receive it, and to come up with a gift for another member of the server. And I've been kind of wondering who or what to give. And during this project, it kind of came to me. So while I was working on Platform 88 and also on the Genysis, I wound up needing a bit of quartz for different projects. One of it being the lightning rod balloon, and also the little balloon that we're using to kind of light things up and hopefully snowproof Platform 88. But while I went quartz mining in the Nether, I came across 4 pieces of ancient debris. So my thought was that instead of using it for my tools, I want to give this to Unheard Nightmare. So, unfortunately, right now, he is not online. So, and to be honest, I rarely see him online at the same time I am. Occasionally it does happen, but I want to go ahead and send this over. So we're going to, so I'm going to grab some sleep, and then we're going to head over and drop this off and give him a gift. So I'll meet you there. Okay, and here we are. All right, I don't know if there are any spoilers around, but I think I'm just going to kind of put this over by his storage, more or less to just try and avoid that. So, this looks about right. So let's go ahead and, so pop that down. And Unheard Nightmare. And I'll just put X. I'll just put X because I honestly don't remember the special character key to add in a check mark. All right, and we'll just drop this off right here in the middle. So that should be enough for a netherite ingot. And now let's make this a little more decorative with some wool. So 3. Oops. 2, 3. And then add in the rest of the white. Well, it's not the prettiest present in the world, but, well, it'll do the job. But that will hopefully help Nightmare with some of his future projects and just be a good gift to pass on the Book of Deeds. Now that I have the start or the genesis of the mega base going, it's time to start looking ahead to other projects. And I think the first thing I'm going to need to do is to work on a mob farm. I think I'm going to go with a generalized one just because, well, one thing I know I'm going to need is a decent supply of gunpowder because just doing these two big parts to the project, I am burning through the rockets really fast. So I think next time we're going to work on embracing our inner pirate and work on robbing a few mobs of their valuable drops. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like. And also consider subscribing if you want to see more content like this. My name is Glitch, and I do hope I'll see you next time for the next episode on the Paperhats Survival Multiplayer server. Thanks for watching.